You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. It was very difficult to pull this video from the Matrix. They're trying to hide the footage from you. They don't want you to see these towers burn. They don't want you to see how easy it is, according to experts. As you can see, they just walk on up and just, pour a little gasoline. They got a little extra gas for the lawnmower, for the generator, and they just went to the Death Tower and paid tribute to it and set that bitch on fire, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, nobody can recommend doing such a thing. That would be illegal. But watching these towers burn is, it makes my day. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you can see, there's quite a bit of surveillance footage. They're tracking people, so you'd obviously want to think about covering your tracks, staying out of range a little bit, and the like of the line of sight. Think about line of sight, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, in a surveillance state, it's all about line of sight. But you can see, they're using all of the different video cameras in the Matrix to find where you go. So you got to think 2 steps ahead, but it's as easy as that, according to experts. You just light that bitch up and watch it smoke. 50 towers smoked in the UK. They're blowing everybody else away in this 5G challenge. Burn 5G, bitches. That's what they're saying out there. And of course, people are very concerned about the health effects. It's not because, they want to light this shit up like a Christmas tree. It's because these things are a risk. They penetrate everyone at the speed of light. It's like electronic rape. And people are saying no radiation without representation. So they'll erect these death towers in your neighborhood, and they won't let you, protest them for health reasons, even though it is well known that exposure to RF megawatt microwave radiation has been observed to cause physical alterations in the essential cells of the immune system and degrades immune system response. That is scientifically proven. It's why you see the leukemia near these cell towers, near the power lines, electric fields, basically mutate the white blood cells, render them useless. You don't want that, ladies and gentlemen. Especially not during an epidemic of the Wuhan supervirus. How's everybody doing out there? Do you love these pictures or what? Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? There's a lot of people worried about this virus. Then they realized a door had opened. Many doors have opened, many opportunities to see what's going on here. And people have been using their anxiety for productive things. What else can you say about the current situation, ladies and gentlemen? But as you can see, the base is... What did the video guy just do? He's fired. The video guy is fired. But as you can see, this thing lights up at the base, and then it just works its way up the cabling like rubber tires. And, they just go up like so quick that you really want to be in position to, observe it quickly. If you can, if you're going to be one of those people, of course, nobody can recommend doing such a thing. But you can understand why people are doing it, looking at these videos, knowing the truth out there, that these things are damaging your health. How many cancer clusters have they seen near these death towers? Tons. And the only way you find out is when it happens at a school and all the, the parents are talking to each other. Oh yeah, my kid too, Then all of a sudden it starts to click, all of a sudden they can connect the dots. Otherwise, you're not getting the info that the people next door just got, some kind of cell phone related cancer. And it's like, you know, the super virus in the nursing homes. They're not telling the other patients in the nursing home, the other customers, clients, residents, that the people in the building are infected. So they don't let you connect the dots, or they won't connect the dots for you. You've really got to connect the dots for yourselves. And, you know, there's plenty of censorship out there. They don't want you knowing the information. You know, what have we seen since 9/11? You know, Gladio B after Gladio B. Eugenics program after eugenics program. These people are out to get you. And they can talk all the talk they want about, you know, it's the Russians, it's the Chinese, it's the, you know, whatever. Look, there's probably plenty of blame out there. But these people let this virus in, just like they erected these death towers, just like they're fluoridating your water, just like they're spraying you like bugs and forcing, you know, toxic vaccines upon you. You know, the Chinese didn't do that. The Chinese just booted up this virus. Trump let it in. This is the Trump virus, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you can say. And they're now, you know, we've got actually a real interesting video. Speaking of the devil here. Where did we put it? Where, oh where?
To spread. Does that correspond with what you have heard from officials?
Well, I don't want to say that, John, but I will.
Let's get to the beginning.
Multiple sources are telling Fox News today that the United States government now has high confidence that while the coronavirus is a naturally occurring virus, it emanated from a virology lab in Wuhan, that because of lax safety protocols, an intern was infected, who later infected her boyfriend, and then went to the wet market in Wuhan, where it began to spread. Does that correspond with what you have heard from officials?
Well, I don't want to say that, John, but I will tell you more and more we're hearing the story, and we'll see. When you say multiple sources, now there's a case where you can use the word sources, but we are doing a very thorough examination of this horrible situation that happened. Go ahead, please.
In your many conversations with President Xi, Mr. President, did you ever discuss with him State Department concerns about lax safety protocols that had been reported to the State Department from the embassy in Beijing about that laboratory?
I don't want to discuss what I talked to him about the laboratory. I just don't.
He doesn't want to discuss any conversations that he's had with President Xi over this laboratory. And we're suspecting they had conversations about this lab before the outbreak. Oh, we heard you've got a lab out there. And the 5G. Perfect. The video guy's fired. But in fact, you know, we've seen in their various live exercises, CLADE X, the Event 201, the Crimson Contagion. I mean, they were preparing for this. They were basically, you know, finessing their talking points. See, GNN, breaking news. I mean, they had everything, you know, pre-planned and scripted. Real bad, too. You know, CDC, the exact same kind of virus, everything. Event 201, you should see the highlight reels. It's the CAPS virus, and it's a coronavirus, and it has all of the, you know, stealth hidden symptoms as this one. It's really something else. And then this guy, Tom Inglesby, that's basically leading the whole thing, is showing up on CBS, ABC, Fox News, like delivering his opinion like an expert, running the show, running the wheels, running the machine, if you will. And not only that, but this is all related to the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Health and Security. And that's why you had the Johns Hopkins maps from the beginning, you know, showing you how far this virus has gone. They've been at the helm the whole fucking time. Pardon the language. Jade helm, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be getting into that and more. Hopefully more. What is the video guy doing? The video guy is on fire, obviously. Look at that. What is this? And so now we're hearing that the story has changed. It has come out of the lab. I mean, this was obvious day one that this had escaped the lab. And it was obvious day one that, you know, given that this was pneumonia, this was airborne. Have you ever heard of a pneumonia that wasn't airborne? Think about it. And they're telling everybody to wash your hands and you don't need a mask. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, they just set everybody up for the infection. It's just like these death towers. You know, they park them right next to you. They give everybody cancer and they're like, what? Oh, what? There seems to be a problem here? Prove it. Prove it that these death towers have done this to you. You know, good luck in the courts while you're struggling to survive. And, you know, this has all been planned out in such a way, ladies and gentlemen, that, you know, it should make everybody pretty angry out there. The hospitals are empty. There's nothing going on. They've got everybody locked down. They've suspended your rights. They've suspended the Constitution. It's medical martial law out there. And now they're going to be rolling out their beast system, you know, phase 2. Here comes the cashless society. Here comes your chip. Here comes mass surveillance, checkpoints. You got to have extra papers just to work and the like. We're going to be getting into that. Immunity passports. So they're working on it real hard to try to get some kind of app that people will buy into and accept. And that's the thing. They need people to accept, you know, their narrative, their ideas. You know, they let this virus in and now they're trying to roll out their plan, which seems to be eliminating old people, mass surveillance, cashless society, you know, in the next step here. And of course, to suspend your rights. They've rendered you a slave. You're not even technically an American anymore. You just happen to live here. Grave concerns about COVID-19 immunity passports. No kidding. Should we be concerned about this beast system? 666 Fifth Avenue, should we be concerned about that? Did Xi Jinping deliberately infect the world? What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? People don't realize just how messed up communism is. Those people out there, they're slaves. And it's like a huge fucking work camp. Pardon the language. We've got the videos. What are they doing here? Looks like we suddenly need these cell towers every 50 yards for the mass irradiation. You know, look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. There's a reason why people are burning these towers down, and it's obvious. You know, these things are, you know, cancer guaranteed for most people, or some other kind of disease, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't want to discuss it. It's inappropriate right now. Please go ahead in the back.
Oh, he doesn't want to discuss it. We're not, you know, we're not adults anymore. Not sure what the video guy has done here with this video. Our favorite video of the day, and it's just gone. There it was, and it's gone once again. They just don't want us to play these videos. We've seen mass censorship when it comes to the 5G. See, now it's all messed up. You try to play it. Oh, for fuck's sakes. See, there you go. Finally, the program cooperates. You have to be persistent. Look at that. What happened there? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? See how easy that was? To find a video like this, it's virtually impossible. They don't want you to see how easy it is. Now, of course, you got to be careful. According to experts, we can't recommend doing such a thing. That would be illegal. But, you know, seeing it in action, you know, gives people all sorts of ideas. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about what people think. You know what I mean? That's up to them. I mean, thinking is still free, isn't it? You're still free to think what you want to. But yeah, that's the best video. And they're tracking him down. He's going to be on Crime Stoppers. You know, he's a terrorist. He took down the Death Tower. You know, these radicals and the like, they're saying. And look, the evidence is rather clear. If you look at the bioinitiative safety standards, they're all set a certain way based on the research. Where do biological effects begin, according to scientists? And, you know, they want to come on television and say this stuff is completely safe. That is not the case. I mean, even on your phone right now, in the fine print, you know, in the About info section, you've got, you know, guidance that tells you keep the phone at least, you know, 20, 30 centimeters away from you. And use a hands-free kind of set. Don't put the phone to your head. I mean, it says that, man, because it nukes you. And if you had a meter and you could see what these things pump out, boy, you'd give up that phone quicker than you could say what happened. I'll tell you what, I haven't used a smartphone in quite some time. I've got a dumb phone for emergencies. But, you know, I just don't use it anymore. I just don't use it anymore. I saw what they do. It's as bad as a death tower if you're within like 3 or 5 feet of it. And you can bet that these things, you know, the cell phones, the routers, and the like are pumping out like hidden signals right now to make people sick. And the virus is just one component of this outbreak. But there's obviously things that are making it worse. Not every region is getting, you know, the same amount of deaths. Everybody's infected. They're not testing people. We're going to get into that. I mean, their tests don't work. Time and time again, article and article again. Their tests don't work. There's a reason why these hospitals and testing centers are empty. They don't work. And so, you know, everybody's infected. That's what they're basically hiding from you. And what they don't want you to figure out is what variables in the equation make it explode into a Lombardy, Italy, or into, you know, an Eastern France, or into a New York City. What is it that actually makes this thing explode? And it's like popcorn. You know, popcorn all by itself isn't getting you a whole lot of action. You put the popcorn in the microwave, boom, you know? And then you find out sniffing that stuff is toxic. Did you ever see those reports? Sniffing the microwave popcorn is toxic for you? Who remembers that stuff? It's just like everything. They've been out to get you forever. Over 50 cell towers vandalized, they say. Vandalized. Civil disobedience. You know, one person's freedom fighters, another person's terrorists. You know, depending if you're a Republican or a Democrat these days. And so obviously the beast system, which controls the media, is coming on like, oh, this is, you know, a huge attack on public safety. Really? What do you think is a bigger risk to public safety? These death towers or the people taking down these death towers? Quite honestly. And if they were so safe, you know, insurance companies would still cover EMF radiation. That's another thing that people don't think about. They've stopped covering damage, biological damage due to EMF. You can look that one up. They won't cover it anymore. They used to cover it, not anymore. So, you know, if these things were so safe, you'd be able to get a policy on it. And if these things were so safe, you'd be able to have a debate on it. If these things were so safe, cities would be able to stop them over health concerns. But that's the one thing that they can't do, is stop them because of health concerns. That's not allowed. It's not even contestable. Ladies and gentlemen, teachers demand access to PPE before returning to work, and fears of being bounced back for the sake of industry. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to get slaughtered, sent to the wolves. And, you know, in schools, I mean, they've got, you know, the death towers on campus. They've got the routers in every room, you know, 24/7. Plus, you know, a huge virus load. You wouldn't want to be a teacher these days, because those schools will be a death trap for the older folk. You know what I mean? Schools close. If they don't reopen the schools, they can't, you know, send people back to work. So that's kind of the problem. I think we're going to see, you know, multiple attempts to restart until people figure out that they got to be an astronaut on planet Tard. Yes, we are on planet Tard, ladies and gentlemen. Bunch of retards out there. And if you want to survive now on planet Tard in this idiocracy, you've got to have an astronaut suit. Nothing else will do. Listen to this. Nurse who twice needed hospital treatment for coronavirus cast doubt on the effectiveness of the test. She tested negative 3 times. But she kept relapsing, and every time it was negative. right? So this really explains a lot of what we're seeing. Why are the testing sites empty? Why are the hospitals empty? If you don't test positive, you can't get treatment. If you don't test positive, you're not, there can't be an outbreak. And it makes you wonder, since these testing sites are empty, where are their numbers coming from exactly? They say there's 500,000 cases or more, 1 million cases, or more, and 30,000 deaths. Where are the bodies? Where are the people that got tested? We didn't see them. I mean, you look at the, film your hospital, all you see is empty testing sites. The news will come on and say, oh yeah, here there's a bunch of people. People show up, there's nobody there. So what's going on? Is there really a virus? I mean, this girl is sick, but the tests, the non-CDC tests that are supposed to be picking up a virus, they're not finding a virus, but she's sick. She's got the symptoms of the virus, but they can't find a trace of a virus. So what is that telling us? Maybe it's not the virus. Maybe it's the death towers. I think until all the death towers are eliminated, we'll never know for sure. Quite literally. There's only one way to be sure here. And they're never going to do the right thing. They're always 10 steps behind. And by the time, people actually figure out it is the death towers, it'll be too late. And so, scientifically speaking, the death towers must go. And, we actually, let's see if we can find the video here. But yesterday, in the early broadcast, we actually showed you the 5G map, the current structure of 5G, 4G plus 4G in the United States. And the map just, speaks for itself. The hot zones are where the 5G is where the purple is. And, Florida really sealed the deal. I don't know if we can zoom in back in Florida, but Miami is the only place that's got the 5G in Florida, and Miami is the hot spot. Orlando with Disney World, it's got nothing compared to Miami. So I think Florida is really kind of like shows us that 5G is has a bigger impact potentially than air pollution on, huge outbreaks. And, if you look at where there's no 5G, 4G plus, there's no cases. So perhaps, this virus they released, kind of like a harmless virus that would spread everywhere. And then they could blame it, blame all these 5G deaths on this virus. That's certainly one scientific theory at this stage. We're not sure why certain communities have been selected for extermination. But it just so happens that those communities that have been selected for extermination have 5G networks there. In fact, most deaths are occurring within 1 mile of a death tower. Guaranteed. And so, there's a reason why it happened in Wuhan. Not just because of the lab, but that's basically where they rolled out 5G first. And it just basically zaps your immune system. So all of a sudden you got AIDS. Now anything can come on in and just basically, take you down. Including a harmless coronavirus. Perhaps. Semi-harmless. But, the 5G, the exposure to EMF is certainly a big factor, as well as air pollution. And that's something that we talked about the day before yesterday. No, yesterday's broadcast. The early broadcast. And people should check that one out because we went into quite a bit of detail. And here's the video of, of them lighting it up, smoking that tower. And, we're getting reports of quite a few towers going down. Now, they're obviously going to try and censor videos and reports of this kind of thing happening because they don't want it to get too trendy, even though, it's too late for that. But they don't want to add any fuel to the fire. And the only thing they can say about it is like, oh, these people, they're crazy for taking down these towers. And look, there's been an army of scientists, doctors, professors, researchers that have been trying to stop the rollout of these towers for years. Anybody that's done their research knows that. And so to say it's just the crazies that are concerned, it's just the crazies that are trying to stop this, it's, quite the opposite. It's the free people out there that are trying to stop these death towers. The slaves don't care. The slaves just want to, get back to work and play on their phones. But the real people out there, are concerned about these death towers. They're concerned about these Gladio B events. They're concerned when a dictator shows up and all of a sudden starts suspending our constitutional rights over a virus that they unleashed, on the population. A tragedy in the making. Who's to blame if society destroys itself based on inflated fears? And so, look, we've seen the life expectancy go down in this country for quite some time. Obviously, people don't need the fluoride in the water. They don't need a death tower right across the street. We don't even need these Georgia Guidestones or this Agenda 21, yet we have them anyways. Something is going on. And just because you look both ways before you cross the street, that doesn't make you paranoid. You should see wild animals, how, cautious they are before they go out into the open. That's natural. And, to not trust a criminal government like the one we have is very natural as well. And it doesn't matter if they're Republicans or Democrats. They're criminals, all of them. I can't imagine, people out there still today rooting for, somebody on the television. They don't get it. The people on TV, it's like the movie They Live. It's part of the control structure. And before you know it, it's going to be like Soylent Green out there. Everybody's going to be out on the streets just, hoping, begging to go into the euthanasia program. I think we got more news to cover. Look at that. Video guy totally messed that one up. And continuing on. Yeah, what's the real tragedy here? China starves its neighbors. Oh, we're getting reports that the Chinese are cutting off the Mekong River system that infects like Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, all of the countries in Southeast Asia. So 30,000 Americans dead is a very productive public health relationship, according to the director of the CDC. All of this stuff you can see on our website, stfnreport.com. We update numerous times a day. You don't want to miss out on the fun at Stranger Than Fiction News, stfnreport.com. That's stfnreport.com. There is no evidence for this, except researchers have created a novel virus that grows remarkably well in human cells. If the virus escaped, nobody could predict the trajectory. So you see, the narrative is definitely changing. It came out of the lab, but now they're saying, oh, some poor intern, she went to her boyfriend and they were making love and he got infected. Then he went to the market and infected everybody else, and it was just a fucking accident. The whole thing was just some kind of accident at the wet market. Like stepping in shit. Does this look like stepping in shit? Does this look like the flu, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody out there? Anybody out there? Look, this is so the flu. Hold on.
We're in a live exercise here to get this right.
No shit. Live exercise. It must be some poor little intern. What happened to... Oh, we were going to go somewhere and I think it's just gone. The video's gone. Oh yeah, here it is. No, that wasn't the one we wanted to... forget it. I mean, they knew for months that something was up. This is not happening. This is not happening. The video guy is fired.
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero.
I mean, anybody that saw the videos that was coming out of China at the time knew that this was no flu. They were all dressed up like it was Fukushima, like some kind of meltdown, you know, at their nuclear reactor, except it wasn't a nuclear reactor that melted down. It was a bioweapons lab, and it nuked the entire planet. And you could tell this was, you know, how it was from the get-go. As soon as the first videos, reports were coming out of Wuhan and China, I mean, this was no flu. And to think that they sat there for weeks and months and just pretended like nothing was happening, I mean, that's criminal. That's fucking criminal. And, you know, maybe they didn't want to ruin their economy. Maybe they didn't want to, you know, ruin people's day and the like. But they should have told people to protect themselves, you know, as soon as they knew back in December. You know, imagine Fukushima erupting sometime in October or, you know, early November 2019. And, you know, all of the radiation is just, you know, going around. I mean, much worse than back in 2011. Imagine, like, you know, a huge fucking Fukushima, right? And the radiation cloud is so toxic, people are dropping dead. And the radiation is through the roof. Now, imagine, like, that happened back in October, November. And for months, they don't tell anybody. You know, and now that people have discovered what happened, they're like, oh, it's the WHO, it's Dr. Who at the, you know, at the UN, or it's the Chinese, you know, they didn't tell us right away. You know, they kept that information from us for like 5 days. 5 days? Are you fucking kidding me? Talk about months that these people didn't tell us what's going on. A major Fukushima-like eruption at a bioweapons facility that nuked the entire world, and they just shut the fuck up despite all the videos that were coming out, despite like how obvious it was. And now they're coming on stage like 3 months later, literally 3-4 months later, and they're like, yeah, it did come out of the lab, but it was just some intern and it wasn't meant to be a bioweapon. It was just something that they were working on to make a vaccine. You know, they're going to try and minimize it and make it seem like the most innocent, beautiful, perfect little phone call, right? And it wasn't, you know, this wasn't the intent at all. It was just a big accident and we're just doing the best we can. Who believes that shit? Do you believe that shit? I don't believe that shit. That's not what it looks like to me. It's not what it looks like to anybody out there.
I think we've done a great job.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, he thinks he's done a great job. Look, I don't want to be mean. You know, I don't get off on being mean to, you know, people on TV. You know, I don't take any joy in that, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what the video guy has done here. But, you know, this is an obvious catastrophe. Not just a catastrophe, but an obvious, like, attempt to murder everybody on the fucking planet. And, you know, for them to come on and be like, oh, just some intern and, you know, oops, an accident. And, you know, look, we've got the cables to prove it. I mean, they waited. Look at this timeline. January 23rd, January 24th. Look, they still waited. They still waited. Every day that goes by here, you know, there's people that are dying a horrible fucking death. And they waited up until pretty much like this stage right here. There's like 10,000 cases in China. You know, it's just totally fucking erupting. And there's cases now, you know, showing up around the world. And now they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to stop the flights. You think you might have wanted to stop the flights like, you know, 2 weeks before that, Chief. Especially since, you know, they were getting national security briefings about this in November, December at the White House. You know, this is bad. There's, you know, people dropping dead everywhere. They didn't warn anybody. They didn't even tell people to go get a mask, don't go to the Super Bowl parties. You know, instead they're like, they hold the biggest fucking rallies. How many Trump supporters do you think got infected at a Trump rally? You know what I mean? And so they want to be like, oh, wow, you know, we stopped it early. Does this look like early? It was way, you know, it was already around the world. It had already landed in every major U.S. city. The least they could have done was warn people. And, you know, for the longest time, they're like, oh, this is just, you know, this is just some kind of thing on the surfaces of whatever's out there. Just wash your hands. You'll be okay. You know, it's obviously pneumonia. What kind of pneumonia isn't airborne? You know what I mean? And in fact, the plot of every, Contagion movie, every Outbreak movie is like, oh shit, it's airborne. In I Am Legend, it's like, did it go airborne? And then they're all freaking out. Oh no, not airborne. Obviously it's fucking airborne. And they should have been warning people about that like day one. Get a mask, protect yourselves. They didn't do that, man. They didn't even, it would have been so simple. Just wear a mask, be careful out there. There's a little Fukushima thing that happened. It's not a big deal, but everybody should, protect themselves. They didn't do that. They didn't try to help you. And whatever they're doing now is not helping. Whatever they're doing now is just like, part of the exercise. And that's what's so frustrating. And you see this guy. I know we've got some kind of image of this guy, showing up for Fox News. He's on CBS. He's on NBC as an expert from Johns Hopkins. These are the people that ran, Event 201, that ran CLADE X, and that are responsible for the little map that you see, that you saw from day one.
When it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, do the orders still stand? And the vice president turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?
Of course the orders still stand. This is another 9/11. The planes are 20 miles out. The planes are 10 miles out. They let those planes in once again. And now it's like another invisible enemy. Instead of terrorists from the Middle East, it's the other invisible enemy. But not the right invisible enemy. The real invisible enemy that we're up against is the army of the devil. Every time you turn on the television and you see that Luciferian propaganda, that's the army of the devil trying to steal your soul. That's what we're up against. That's the real virus. That's what's responsible for the they live. And they work together like a gang. People, talk about, gang stalking. It's not the government. It's the demons that are after you. They are legion, ladies and gentlemen. China's restrictions strand face masks, coronavirus test kits, and other critical products bound for the U.S. So, they've sucked up all the medical supplies. They kamikazed us with their fucking virus. They're sending out their aircraft carriers. They're, and other things. You bet they're sitting on a vaccine right now. And of course they make all our supplies and they're just sending us poison shit. So, these companies that you see, all these corporations on TV with ads, whether it be Apple, Microsoft, you name it, they're Luciferians in disguise. Who hires Marina Abramovich, to make a fucking video for their corporation? We don't ever get approached by corporations for, any type of ad. You can't imagine why. But they go out to the Luciferians and they recruit and they spend big money. I'm sure Marina made $1 million thanks to Microsoft for this video that just totally bombed, right? They thought they were showcasing the next best thing. Showcasing their Luciferian desires to molest children and to abuse and kill and murder. That's who these people are. The devil is the destroyer, the thief that kills and murders. You tolerate the devil, you tolerate evil, you know what they're going to do. You're not supposed to tolerate evil out there. But yeah, this is the best video. Burning down these death houses. There's another real disturbing video.
There's literally another pole right here. There's this one, which has many more plates on it. And then if I zoom around over this way, there's another one right here. So they're like 40 feet away from each other. And then coming down here, there's like bees all over the ground. And this is literally between the two.
Yeah, so, they're always putting these death towers up in series like a weapons array. And they can basically turn, their grid into a harp-like structure and just start zapping people, you know. I mean, you just don't even want to know what they could do with this thing. But we're starting to see, you know, all sorts of poor creatures get genocided by, you know, this technology. And, you know, whether it be, you know, the death towers or some other poison that has taken out these animals, they're like a canary in the coal mine. And if we don't have pity for what's happening to wildlife, you know, we deserve what comes our way. You know, all of creation is special, to say the least. And it's just, you know, it's monstrous to see what these people are doing. Wuhan supervirus came from a bioweapons lab. We released, you know, the short clip. If you guys want to retweet that or whatever out there, you can find all of this on our website, stfnreport.com. Pillowcase, masks, and trash bag gowns, the bleak, deadly reality of California nursing homes. And of course, everybody knows that if you're not out there supervising what's happening in the nursing home, you know, those people are going to, you know, they're going to get it. They're going to get snuffed out. And, you know, now they've basically made it illegal to supervise what's happening in the nursing homes. And guess what? Everybody's getting snuffed out. Just wait, it's not over yet. You know, it's still incubating in a lot of people. They keep shifting the sick into new nursing homes, saying they have to be, you know, relocated. But big breaking news, death towers are going down quicker than they're going up almost. In some places, people are taking matters into their own hands. And, you know, in an act of civil disobedience. So much is unknown about the pandemic because the government keeps a lid on it. Don't we deserve to know that this is a brain-wasting disease, airborne AIDS that was released from, you know, the Wuhan Institute of Virology? Oh, and 1 in 5 cases ends in heart attack. That's nice. Governor Cuomo orders all people to wear a face mask. And, you know, soon other things are coming. The checkpoints, the mandatory testing, the papers, the chip, cashless society. And so what seems like, you know, a real nice person today is going to turn into a tyrant tomorrow. It's, you know, it's a guarantee that before you know it, you'll need extra papers and the like. And now you get to choose, you know, which mafia boss do you like better? The Don in the red corner or Cuomo in the blue corner? And it's just like that, you know, non-stop, like WWE. You got actors in the ring fighting it out, and you're cheering on, you know, you're cheering on the action, bread and circus style. Operation Gridlock out there in Lansing, Michigan. This was a nice little scene. You know, basically full occupation of the Capitol, of the State House, people armed, taking it over, banners everywhere, people honking everywhere, all united for the cause of freedom. That's America. This is a nice thing. Of course, all the libtards on television are like, this isn't patriotic. Patriotism is staying at home and grabbing your ankles. You know, it's like, fuck's sakes. And you can tell libtard by the way they speak. I mean, they just rub you the wrong way. As soon as, you know, as soon as they open up their trap, it's like, yes, you must, you know, you must accept the programming. Can't take it anymore. We're not going to, you know, do the Rachel Madcow right now. Keep your hands off our Constitution. Keep your hands off our Bible. Keep your hands off our guns, or we're coming to your state house. That's basically the message America sent yesterday with Operation Gridlock. Why going cashless has added value in pandemic age. Who puts out propaganda like this? Oh, Bloomberg. No shit. So the people that are responsible, you know, for the John Hopkins, MAP, Bloomberg School of Health, the whole works, Event 201, right? And the CLADE X project, all of this, Bloomberg articles, cashless, going cashless will add value in the pandemic age. You know what I mean? So that's Bloomberg. Chinese whistleblowers in the hands of the government as they remain missing. So numerous journalists that brought you the initial footage of what was going on, they're gone. Missing in action. Not sure what the video guy is doing, but obviously on vacation. But it's risky business being a journalist these days. Everybody's out to get you, especially the commies and the socialists. They don't like, they don't like the news. They like propaganda. They like controlling, the narrative on CNN and NBC and even Fox. They like to control the information that you get. It's massaged and spun for your programming and your behavior. Sources believe the coronavirus erupted from a Wuhan lab as part of China's efforts to compete with the U.S. They're trying to make it seem like it was innocent. It was an innocent endeavor. They were just trying to keep up in medical research, and they just, it was just some poor intern that just had it on her sleeve, and she brought it home, and, it just happened to escape. But they didn't do it on purpose. And all the reports of people dropping dead, let's not focus on that. Let's try to be positive here. You know what I mean? China might be secretly conducting nuclear tests with very low explosive power. What is the next thing these fuckers are going to release? Nanobots, the Gray syndrome. I think this is a wake-up call to technology in general. It's not just because they can invent something that this shit should be deployed. And in fact, there's probably areas of research that should be off limits. Just saying. Obviously bioweapons and probably nuclear weapons and probably, the antimatter research that's going on in CERN. It won't be long before there's a fucking black hole in Switzerland. Like, like from the show Fringe or something. And people will wonder, what happened. And, there's just things that they shouldn't be messing with, like this AI, Skynet, Terminators, the Matrix, the brain chip, the cloning. There's lots of things that, we shouldn't even be messing with. But there's no ethics, there's no morals anymore. We're just being held hostage by this tyrannical technocracy, this beast system. Conservatives in Washington state accuse lawmakers of being Marxists who are taking advantage of this pandemic to usher in totalitarianism. And obviously, patriots around the country are railing against these unconstitutional restrictions. But remember, the president declared a state of emergency and invoking the Stafford Act, basically suspending your rights. They let this virus in, they've suspended your rights. That's all you need to know. As well as the death towers cause cancer and are probably making this virus outbreak worse. Chicago can have 2-week waits for test results. That's still today being reported by Chicago, CBS Local. It's a catastrophe. The tests are a catastrophe. Coronavirus in Minnesota. Hospitalized 3 times in 10 days. Man still denied COVID test. This is today. This isn't early March or late February. This is still today, mid-April. Still today. Huge problems with the testing. It doesn't work. They're keeping it from you. They don't want you to know about anything. Except that whatever's going on is an accident and it's not Trump's fault. That's basically it. U.S. coronavirus deaths increased by a record amount for second straight day. Yeah, we're near the peak. And the deaths, of course, lag, cases. But look, the whole thing is bullshit because at this stage, pretty much everybody's been infected and their tests don't work. They have no idea, who's positive and who's negative. But whatever they do report, it's just, it's just bullshit. Oh, yeah, 10,000 today. Yeah, 20,000 today. They have no fucking clue. The real numbers are, how many people are going into the ICUs. And, you're probably not getting a real idea of what's going on there either. A scary idea, how Google and Apple COVID tracing could turn sick people into pariahs. And so all of a sudden, people that are quote unquote positive are now going to be like the new pedos. And, you know, you're going to have to go find them and have a town hall meeting, and they're going to have like the ankle bracelets, and they're going to have like the, you know, the jobs that require you touching shit with your bare hands versus everybody else. And look, everybody for sure at this stage, for the most part, is positive. Whether you're exhibiting symptoms or not is another story. But everybody's been affected by this virus. And if they had a test that actually worked, pretty much everybody would be positive. So there's really no point in tracking. What we need to do is figure out, you know, the best strategy for disease management here. And we've listed, you know, some nutraceuticals that you should be getting into: magnesium, selenium, zinc, spirulina, turmeric, just to name a few. Lots of fresh air 24/7. Avoid smoke, organic volatile compounds, and the like, as well as EMF. Avoid the radiation. Avoid anything that might, weaken your immune system. Get plenty of sleep. Limit the alcohol and the like. So, you know, and those would have been nice tips, basic tips to tell people, you know, day one of the outbreak. How Google and Apple is tracing people that they don't like and going to turn them into pariahs. State Department warned in 2018 the lab could cause a new pandemic. Beijing warns it's seriously concerned about the decision to pull funding from the World Health Organization. That's probably one of the few things that this president has done that, you know, is actually nice. Defunding the UN, the New World Order, the World Health Organization, Planned Parenthood, all of these, you know, abominations of, you know, the New World Order beast system, you know, they've got to go. So that we like. But the rollout of 5G, letting the virus in, locking up Assange, letting Hillary go, all the Democrats go, that's not acceptable. And this president's been really weak when it comes to, you know, rounding up the traitors and the war criminals. And instead, it almost looks like he's, you know, part of the crowd. So, you know, no blank checks, even though he's sending a check with his name on it to everybody. He doesn't know how it got there. Wink, wink. Let's not ask too many questions and be thankful that creepy Biden isn't the president right now. And you just have to wonder, you know, is he going to brag next January? Oh, he just kicked creepy Biden's ass. 322 to whatever the other tally will be. But you can just imagine the Electoral College being 322 this time around. And, you know, is he going to be bragging about that? The landslide against creepy Biden? It's amazing. I mean, out of 350 million people, the Democrats, the best person they can find is a child molester. Tells you what kind of NAMBLA shit they're into. The revised counts of victims, yeah, well, we're basically into yesterday's news. But we wanted to play the video of them burning down death towers. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the big news. You know, if they were really on your side on the television, they'd be playing these videos 24/7. Oh, another death tower bites the dust. Another one got smoked, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want to give you, you know, a vote before moving this thing into your neighborhood. And finally, people are smoking these towers. You'd think they'd be covering it favorably. But just about all of the media you'll see out there is like, you know, conspiracy theorists and people mistakenly, you know, burn down a 4G tower. 4G is just as fucking bad. If you had a meter, you'd know that. If you understood the science, you'd know that. And to see these, you know, these crazy people on television reading a script telling you that the poison is safe, I mean, that makes them obviously part of the problem. GNN, CNN, Fox News, fake news, NBC, it's all part of that control grid. The television is, you know, is the beast system. And hardly anybody on there is on your side. So that's just the way it is. we'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to like and share. Check out our website, stfnreport.com, for the latest news. We update that numerous times a day. And get yourself a meter, ladies and gentlemen. Shop around. But understand what you're getting dosed with. Understand the science there. Makes a big difference. As well as everything else. You know, healthy living isn't just about death towers and Wi-Fi. It's about organic food, plenty of sleep, pure water, pure air, and the like. You know, calm environments. But, you know, these death towers are obviously infringing upon everybody's, you know, right to live safely. I mean, you can't go anywhere these days without having a death tower pretty much next door. It wasn't always like that. We survived just fine in the 90s without death towers everywhere. And it was a better world back then. I'd trade, you know, the 90s. I'd trade, you know, this 2020 future for the 90s any day of the week. I'd go back to 1999 Y2K before 9/11. Those were the days. Only the Gen X's know that. The rest of you is good luck out there. Till the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.